What's up, everybody? All 6 of you here at the Down and Out. Actually, I guess 3 of you. Gypsy, you count as 3 people by yourself. So no, that's oh, that was pretty rough. We are the Nate and Joe Show, SuperiorFandom.com. We're joined by Mr. Jarrett Young.
Hello.
Throwing the production together for us.
Boo.
Again, we're live at the Down and Out. We try to do it every week. It's proven difficult for the last few weeks, but that's all right.
Once a month is good enough. Nobody wants to listen to us anymore.
Oh, I don't know if they ever really did want to listen to us, but fucking we force it upon them.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about today, but we are going to get into.
And one way or another, you're gonna like it.
We're gonna jump right in and talk about college football because there's a lot going on with the playoffs and a lot of teams that are left out. How do you feel about the Ohio State TCU debacle?
First of all, just trust me when I say it's easier if you let me do it.
Easier if you let you do what?
Talk and listen. It's easier if you let me do it.
It's easier if I let you talk and listen.
Correct. Now, anyway,
I'm not going to listen for you. And I'm not going to talk for you.
About this TCU thing, it's absolutely obvious that they got robbed. This is the first college football playoff ever. The first time we're going to have a definitive national champion, and I think, right or wrong, the committee just went with the 4 brands that would fill the seats and put the best product and most well-watched product out there on the field. And unfortunately, as in other sports, like the up-and-coming mid-major program kind of got robbed. And
okay, but wasn't I have quite a few things to say about this as well. Wasn't this playoff started? One of the biggest reasons that the push was for the playoff was so the smaller market teams would have a chance to compete for a national championship because they said they complained and said they could not, they were always overlooked, and there should be a national championship or there should be a playoff because they should have the ability to play for a national championship game.
No,
that's one of the biggest reasons it was created, Joe.
I don't think it was for the mid-major schools to have an opportunity to compete for a national championship.
Absolutely, it was. Are you kidding me?
I think the reason that they created the college football playoff was to determine a definitive national championship, regardless what school or what conference that team came from. And I think being that this is the first one, the inaugural playoff and the inaugural championship, they just went with like the secure brands. Like
then the committee should have never in the first place put TCU, first of all, in the top 4. Second of all, let them leapfrog Florida State to number 3. And then after they dominate in their championship game, 55-3 or 52-3 or whatever the fucking score was, after they've leapfrogged Florida State, who's undefeated and they're on a 30-game win streak or something stupid, decide, oops, we made a mistake, so we're going to make up for our mistake and put Ohio State in there because they're going to make us more money.
Well,
to me, the playoff system's already tainted because of this. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the premise of what you said, that TCU should never have been ranked 3. Especially, and I have to echo the sentiments of Mac Brown here, that TCU shouldn't have been ranked 3. Especially when they finished their conference schedule with a mandatory game they had to play by beating Iowa State 55-3. TCU certainly didn't do anything wrong in the final week of the season to warrant being dropped any rankings at all, much less the 3 spots that they did fall. And furthermore, Ohio State, sure, they did have an impressive win.
What they did against Wisconsin was impressive. Not even the fact that they put up 59, just the fact that they actually shut out Wisconsin, shut out a potential Heisman Trophy candidate and Heisman Trophy winner, and the best running back in the nation. Okay, get that fine. They beat the number 13 team in the country handily, but you don't punish TCU for winning big. You just don't do it.
Yeah, that's correct. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Ohio State, especially the performance they had in their in the final week of their season. They did play a wonderful game against Wisconsin.
They did without their quarterback.
Everybody's kind of crediting that win, I think, a little bit too much, though, because here's something you need to realize about Wisconsin. Wisconsin's only win against a ranked opponent this year was versus Nebraska, who may not even be ranked in the final top 25 this season.
I get that.
So I think it's a little bit.
Well, same with Florida State. Florida State had a cakewalk schedule, but regardless, the win streak they're on is unprecedented. So you have to reward them for what they've done in a major conference.
Right. I agree there. I mean, I don't know what route do you want me to take in this conversation going forward. Would you like me to talk about the ways that I think TCU got robbed, or some ways that I think they could have better helped their cause to kind of eliminate some of the conversation here?
Sure.
No, which one?
The latter of the two.
Okay, so here's something interesting about TCU that a lot of people have kind of I don't know if you want to say failed to notice in their dropping in the standings, but TCU is the only team in the top 6 of the final poll that didn't win their conference. Yeah. Baylor, Ohio State, Alabama, and Oregon all won their conference. The Big 12 also is the only one of those 4 conferences that doesn't have an outright conference championship game. So
yeah, I know. The team that they played was chosen for them. I get that.
They didn't get the opportunity to have a showcase game like Alabama, Oregon, and Ohio State did. And I think some of that has to fall back on Bob Bowlesby, the commissioner of the Big 12, who later said, like earlier this week, had mentioned that the Big 12 had kind of done, and I'm paraphrasing here, but done a little bit of a disservice as a conference by not having that championship game, and it might have hurt their teams. And I just think back to, the SEC and some bigger name coaches like Les Miles and Nick Saban, who many times over the past years, when their teams have been disrespected by lesser bowl games, they kind of
they had a legitimate gripe. It's the SEC after all.
Yeah, but on top of that, sure, like I'll give you that. But even when Nick Saban was at Michigan State, if they were ever disrespected in a bowl game or a situation like that, those coaches were causing a shitstorm on every media outlet about how their team was robbed and everything was a travesty, and so on and so forth. And when you just kind of have Bob Bowlesby and the coach for TCU just going like, this is kind of how the cookie crumbles, and we're going to make changes to the conference, and so on and so forth, I don't think they did the collective group any favors.
Okay, I mean, fair enough, but it's the coaches and Bob Bowlesby could have created more of a stink. That being as it may, I don't think it would have done them any good. This committee doesn't. I mean, this committee doesn't have to answer to anybody. That was one of the stipulations. They don't have to explain their reasoning behind anything that they do. They don't have to answer to anybody except each other. So they can really just kind of shuffle the cards however they feel fit and not have to tell anybody why.
Well, and I mean, what's funny is like the brief explanation that the committee did give was they said Ohio State had a stronger strength of
money
schedule.
Source. In
the non-conference. And I mean, I don't know. I look at games they played, like Ohio State played Kent State.
Yeah.
And since CSNY wrote about Kent State in the 70s, I don't know if anybody's ever talked about Kent State before or since. And you look at Ohio State's one loss this year. Their one loss was to a Virginia Tech team that was barely bowl eligible. They're down there playing in some bowl with East Carolina, with
and they
Florida,
almost lost to Michigan.
or whatever they're doing. You know what I mean? And you look at TCU, and their one loss was a 3-point overtime loss to Baylor that had their own set of complaints and could have easily made a case to get into this tournament.
Ohio State was like Florida State in the fact that they squeaked out wins this year against teams that they should have beaten, like they beat Wisconsin. Yeah, they showed up against Wisconsin in a big way, especially their defense was the most impressive part of that game. But that being said, I still can't get away from the fact that you don't punish a team because you made a mistake initially.
Yeah, sure.
You don't. And this, the first year in its inaugural season, as far as the playoff goes, is the perfect argument as to why this needs to be an 18 playoff, or at least 6. 4 just is not enough. I mean, you can take, if you add TCU and Baylor to the equation of this playoff system, then I would be happy. I'd be okay with it. I'd be like, all right, I think that the top 6 teams in the country were chosen for this playoff. But this, I don't know. Ohio State's going to get. I believe Ohio State's going to get routed by Alabama. They haven't faced anybody like Alabama, like they're going to see from Alabama all year long.
There's nobody like that in the Big Ten. There's no way that they could replicate that performance.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're going to get routed by Alabama. I think the Florida State-Oregon game is going to be, probably the best game that we're going to see, because I think the winner of that is also going to get beat by Alabama, and maybe a better game than the Ohio State game. But I don't know. There should be 2 more teams in this playoff, and it's kind of upsetting that there's not.
Maybe they'll make changes, and maybe they'll add a couple teams. I think that's completely possible. I don't think anybody.
Didn't they initially put this is under the first 4 years, I believe, is 3 or 4 years is a 14 playoff, and then they're going to reassess the situation?
I don't know. Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Okay. Yeah, cool. I'm with it. Look, first of all, we've made a case or a gripe for TCU, and I think there's absolutely, that's an obvious side of this. One thing that I don't want to get neglected in the conversation is Ohio State had a hell of a year, going 12-1 or whatever they did, and Urban Meyer putting that defense together and having them play their best game at the end of the season, and doing it while you lose Braxton Miller early on before the year starts or early in the season, and you're down to your 3rd-string quarterback, and you just kind of keep trucking. I think that some credit has to be given on that level, and I don't know if they deserve to necessarily be in the top 4, but Ohio State had a hell of a year, and I think this is the inaugural year, and sure, like, TCU got robbed, but, like, knowing the way the NCAA operates, like, I just don't believe that you could expect anything less than putting the 4, like, seminal brands, that are at the peak of the college football in the playoffs. That this is not a time for the NCAA to take any risks whatsoever, and unfortunately, it's happened before and will happen again. Like, the mid-major upstart school got robbed.
Yeah, well, it's again. You disagree, but this playoff system. Part of the reason that people pushed for it, schools pushed for it, teams pushed for it, programs pushed for it, was so that smaller market teams that get left out every year, some that run the table, always get left out of the national championship conversation. It's so they can get recognized as for what they've done and potentially compete for a national championship. And it was yanked from TCU.
Sure, I'll give you that, but you got to realize something. Like, let's take for example the Boise State teams of the middle 2000s.
Yeah. Every year.
Those teams were undefeated every year, and they won their conference every year. Mm-hmm. TCU didn't do that.
I know.
And in fact, they lost a game where they gave up 61 points.
And they scored 59, I believe.
But when you give up 61 points, I think you can kind of make a strong argument that team doesn't deserve to play in the championship. Now, I'll admit that they got robbed.
You can't stop it. Ohio State had some shootouts this year, and against teams that were that good Lord, Eastern Carolina could beat. So I mean, don't tell me because they gave up a lot of points that they're going to get left out of the conversation. I mean, it's they were Ohio State had squeaked out wins this year against very, very mediocre schools.
Right, I understand what you're saying, but and I agree with you. But when all things are equal in the inaugural college football playoff, the tie goes to the moneymaker. I mean that's
of course it does.
That's just what's up right now. Like they can't afford to take any risks, and I think that's just unfortunately like where it lands. Like.
Well, that being said, we are at the Down and Out. There, Gypsy, there are $4 shots of Sino Tequila right now.
I bet you Gronk would drink those.
$4 shots of Sino Tequila. Gronk, while he's kissing his cat, would take body shots off of his cat of Sino Tequila.
Can we talk about football?
What do you want to talk about, Jim?
We've been talking all about football.
Like, what's college football?
College football is actually real football.
For like 10 minutes.
Like Patriots football?
No, I don't think that city of New England has a team anymore, do they?
First of all, that's a region, and it's beautiful.
That was my sarcastic joke, Joe. You take things way too literally, my friend.
Oh,
incredible.
I didn't know you were kidding. That's a bad joke. Bro.
Yeah, let's go on vacation to New England. Who the fuck says that? No, because it's not a fucking place. It's an idea.
My family.
It's an idea.
I think it's more of an ideal.
It's
the
an
ideal
idea.
that built this country.
Yeah, whatever.
So,
he's defending you. I'm the one throwing you under the bus.
I love New England. I think it's beautiful.
There's a lot of places that you can vacation in New England. There's you have a plethora to choose from. That's why. Go vacation in New England.
Gypsy, maybe on the next podcast, can you give me a review of the New England bed and breakfast?
God, that's one I'll tune into.
What's that?
What's the real thing, Watson?
Steve Watson's going to give us the real thing.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Fuck all that shit you're spelling out.
Yeah, here's the real situation with TCU Ohio State.
Okay.
This is going to be good. Folks.
TCU has a population student count of 9,725 versus 57,466 students.
Yeah. Well, that's what we talked about. I mean, that's the reason Ohio State's where they are. I mean, the routing and shutout of Wisconsin, and then the fact that there's just entirely more money to be earned behind Ohio State. So, I mean, it's a brand. They've been around. It's, the Ohio State, whatever the fuck that means.
The Ohio State University.
And
the tie goes to the brand.
The tie goes to the brand.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway,
we need to talk about some Gators though while we're talking about football.
Why?
Because
go Gators. Never mind.
Yeah, that's coming from a Tennessee Volunteer. The Gators.
Dude, Tennessee and Butler play Sunday. I'm getting fired up for this.
A phenomenal move last week in hiring Jim McElwain to be our new head coach, and. At first, I was, I don't know if anybody would have been perfect in my eyes except for, Gruden. But once I thought about it, Jim McElwain is a guy that they got. He's finally an offensive-minded coach that we're going to have at the helm as opposed to defense. And if the offense scores a touchdown, great. Jim McElwain knows what it takes to win in the SEC. He's got 2 national titles with Alabama. He's been to 3 where they got beat by another SEC team, which is LSU. I mean, he's a proven winner his entire career. There's a reason that he got the head coaching gig at Colorado State. And I think it speaks volumes that after when he left, his quarterback from Colorado State came forward and just had nothing but he said that he's pretty sure that Florida will win a national championship. I'm not going to go that far, but because of how good of a coach he is and how well respected by everybody who ever plays for him or under him, he's a teacher of the game, and I can't wait to watch him work. And he's coming into a program that's already got pieces together. I mean, Treon Harris is a quarterback that I think is going to be instrumental in the winning of the SEC East I'm calling it right now. I think the Gators win the SEC East next year because of Jim McElwain and Treon Harris, because he's a quarterback's coach and he's an offensive-minded coach, and that's what Treon Harris needs to succeed.
And he's a teacher.
He's a teacher.
He actually earned a degree in education from Eastern Washington.
Yeah, from Montana State, right?
Yeah.
Eastern Washington.
Oh, same.
He was the quarterback's coach on for Oakland. Got fired, but so did everybody on that staff, for God's sake.
That happens every year and a half. That's not his fault.
Everybody on that Oakland staff got fired because they won 2 games that year, and
dude, they can win 10 and still get fired, dude.
It's true. It's true.
Gruden takes them to the Super Bowl, he gets canned. Nothing makes any sense. I mean, look, I don't know much about Jim McElwain. I've never heard anybody say a bad word about the guy. He got a solid deal, $3.5 annually. Florida had to pay a $7.5 million buyout.
Gators, they wanted their guy and they paid for him.
So it's obvious to me that he's he's kind of the guy. The thing that I question is sometimes with these offensive guys that are very very system oriented, it usually takes them a little bit to get the right guys in place, and it seems like in the past, and this could be relative to Will Muschamp and kind of the structure at the Florida program currently, but it seems like there's some question marks, particularly at the skills position. You've got your running back Kelvin Taylor, splitting time. I think Treon Harris has some stuff to prove.
Well, Matt Jones is a beast, and he took the brunt of the snap, took the brunt of the running back job this year, and he's a monster. I mean, the guy's good, and I hope he comes back for another year. He hasn't declared yet for the draft, but no, our running game is fine, especially if Matt Jones comes back.
I just wonder if those guys are gonna fit his system. The other thing, beyond this year that I question, is the SEC, particularly in the East, is there's just some crazy teams in there, some crazy coaches, and some really solid tradition. And McElwain's never been a head coach, and he comes from, he's coming from Colorado State, where he did a tremendous job. But I just wonder if he has the recruiting ties to go against guys like Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin.
Well, that's a valid question. I get that's a valid concern, and that was one of my initial concerns when they hired him. But when this guy shows up at your door to talk to you about coming to be a Florida Gator, and you look at who he's coached under, and the fact that he's held that national championship above his head twice in consecutive years under the best coach in college football, Nick Saban. And not only that, he went to the dance 3 times. He's been to the national championship 3 times. That's hard to look past. How many coaches can come to your door that can say that they've done that, and that they've coached teams that had the best, most productive offense when he was the offensive coordinator, the best offensive in the nation all those years that he was the offensive coordinator for Alabama, won 2 national championships. That's huge. That's not too shabby on your resume.
Yeah, look, if they were gonna go with a more or less unproven head coach in the SEC, I think this guy is probably your top bet. And I think Florida as an athletic program is really smart in the way that they hire coaches and guys to teach their kids and things of that nature typically. So I think eventually this will work and over the long term prove to be a good hire. I just think there's been a lack of discipline surrounding the Florida athletics lately in all sports and particularly
Well,
football.
I can't disagree with that. But
And
our football program has been a mess since Urban Meyer jumped ship. So I mean, we've been trying to rebuild and get it solidified and back to where it was for quite a while now, and it's looking like it's going to get there.
Yeah, and I don't know. I wonder. I think I might have brought in somebody with a little bit more veteran experience, for lack of a better term. Maybe somebody that could have carried a little bit of a heavier hand to kind of right the ship. But I do think eventually this will work. Like I don't think Florida's one to spend this kind of money on bad coaches. But I think, especially given the conference you're in, I think if this was the Big 12 or something, I think it might have been, a little bit quicker of a turnaround. But I don't know.
I think you're going to see an immediate impact on offense. The defense. There's already defensive players that that have declared that they're going to that they're entering the draft because Muschamp's gone. Muschamp was their guy. He's a defensive coach. He brought him in. They're leaving. Fine. Our offense, you're going to see an immediate impact. Sure. It's undeniable. There's just no way around it.
So what did Florida go 7-5 this year? 8-4.
7-5.
Do you think they get?
Should have been 8-5, but our first game got lightninged out. We would have won 75-3.
Do you think Florida hits 10 wins this year or next season?
Wow, that's how much.
That's tough. That's tough. I'll say definitely.
What?
That's how many wins they've had in the last.
I'll call it now. I'll say definitely 9. Ooh. 10 will be tough.
Yeah, that's about right. I also buy that. That's about right.
10's a lot to ask of a first. You're coming into a program that is kind of not in shambles. It's got pieces together, but you have to figure out where those pieces fit and where they go.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was kind of my point when I originally started researching this was there's no doubt in my mind that this is going to be a solid hire in 2 or 3 years. But in the win now nature of today's NCAA, especially at Florida in the SEC, there's a tendency to win now and maybe not give certain coaches the full time to recruit to their system or their strength or get to their guys. And I would really hate to see McElwain not get the chance to run his system and get his guys on board. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time to do that.
Well, I'm pretty stoked on it.
Yeah. I think it's
Gator bait, Joe.
I think it's probably
Gator bait.
I think it's probably about as good of a hire as you guys could have, that could have been made in college football. Not even that Florida could have made. I think that guy's one of the most promising guys out there.
I think we're a couple years out, 2-3 years out from competing for a national title again.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll buy that.
Breaking news. It broke a little bit ago, but I'm gonna break it now. Is the Dodgers have a new shortstop in Jimmy J. Roll Rollins, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I really like that signing for them.
It's huge. Well, we didn't have to sign him.
What'd you have to give up?
Nothing, probably. I don't know. I haven't looked. Even JT, who's a Phillies fan, called me. He's like, I don't think you guys had to give up anything. Oh, here it is. Acquire shortstop J. Roll from Phillies. They're not saying. I don't know. We got J. Roll. Whatever. I doubt we had to give up much. He's in the final year of his contract. Next year's the final year of his contract for Philly, which is perfect for us because we wanted to give Kyle Seager one more year in the minors to hone his skills before he comes up to the show. So yeah, we got our shortstop at 100% improvement, glove-wise. Power-wise, he's got pop obviously still, and his batting average will probably give us 250. Whatever, that's fine. That's fine for middle. He'll be hitting 6th or 7th.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. As much as I tend to just not like the Dodgers for the sake of not liking them, I really like the.
We have that in common.
Huh?
We have that in common with me with the Giants.
Oh, yeah. I really like the Rollins signing. Like, I think beyond anything that he can offer on the field, I think you get rid of an asshole in Hanley Ramirez and you put him with a good guy like Juan Uribe and Justin Turner and Adrian Gonzalez. And from all accounts, D. Gordon's a pretty cool dude. And like Matt Kemp may or may not be out of town, so
There's rumor that D.
think
Gordon's trade bait right now.
I think you're what am I trying to say? I think you're I don't know, I think that was a good move, getting rid of some of what I would consider a cancer off of the Dodgers roster. And
I think you're going way too overboard with the can. He was not a cancer.
Who wasn't?
Hanley wasn't a cancer. He wasn't, not like he was in Miami. Miami, he was a cancer. He was a lot happier in Los Angeles, and when he was healthy, he produced.
All right.
But I can't say that Hanley was a cancer in LA. He was a cancer in Miami. He was a piece of shit in Miami.
Okay, we can agree to disagree on that, but I mean, either way, like however you want to say it, I think it's an upgrade. I think you guys, the Dodgers definitely have the lineup that can kind of what can I say, like withstand a little bit of an offensive drop off with Hanley out of the mix, and I think you get better 2 or 3-fold defensively. So I think Andrew Friedman and Ned Colletti and the crew made a solid pickup there.
Look at you. Thanks, Joe. He loves the Dodgers. Did you guys hear that? Joe loves the Dodgers.
No, it's good pickup.
Thanks, buddy.
Good
It
pickup.
is. It's a solid move.
Yeah. What do you think of the rest of these signings? Like,
I think the Cubs getting Lester. You realize in Vegas their odds went from 21-1 to win the World Series to 12-1 to win the World Series when they signed Lester.
I mean,
he got paid $155 million for what, 5 years, I believe. That's
165 for.
I thought it was $155.
No, it was $165 for.
Can we confirm that?
I thought it was $165 for 6.
I thought it was $155 for 5.
No, I think they locked him up a little bit more. But
regardless,
nonetheless, I mean, look,
that's
like.
huge. And then, Samardzija going to the White Sox. Chicago's both sides are making moves. That White Sox rotation is actually looking pretty formidable. It's with
Chris Sale and Justin Samardzija 1-2. Like, what are you gonna do?
That's pretty good.
Johnny Lester, you were both right and you were both wrong. It was $155 million for 6 years.
Oh, well, there you go. I had the number right. You had the years right.
Fucking A. There you go. Between the two of us, we might be able to make sense.
It's true.
I mean, look, Theo knows how to put baseball teams together.
Yeah.
And, like, the Cubs got money.
Well, he said
And they got
within
a farm
5 years of
system.
him getting signed or him getting hired over, by the Cubs organization, within 5 years he was going to have a World Series to the north side. He's 3 years in at this point? Is that right?
I do believe so, yes.
3 years in?
Well, if Back to the Future 2 is any indicator, the Cubs do win the World Series in 2015.
in what year?
In 2015.
2015?
Shit.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, hell, you should have put your money on it last week. You would have had a better turnaround
It's true.
if you're knowing all that. Shit.
That is true.
Christopher Lloyd tells you, man, you put that down in blood.
Yeah. No, that was Biff. 'Cause
Oh, was it?
Biff had the betting book.
I don't fucking know. You guys figure it out. Huh? No, I mean, I like those signings. Can we talk about the A's? Like,
Jesus Christ, really? Like, okay. Are even good? The Gonger's not here?
Yeah, I'm afraid to talk to Gong right now.
Yeah,
I thought I was going to
Jesus.
get beat up on Monday.
The A's have never really, they've never just dumped and rebuilt, and they're always adding pieces or pulling guys up and competing, and this year feels like they're just kind of dumping, and they're gonna do a rebuilding, and it's.
You know what? Everybody kind of thought that, and like.
You don't think that they're dump? You think they're going to compete for another
I understand the
title?
dump. I understand the dump. I understand what everybody's saying. But the last time the A's traded 3 All-Stars
Yeah.
in 2002, they won the division in 2003.
Okay.
Okay, for one. For two, the bats that they got rid of didn't do dick the second half of that season, and they completely fell off and had the worst record in baseball the whole time. And for three,
She can't stay away from the microphone.
Who is that? Who is that?
That is the the NFC Central leading Saints. Central. Jesus,
Joey said
NFC
Dick.
South leading Saints. That's who that is.
I don't even know what that is.
That's who that is. The NFC
Joey
leading
said Dick and I came over.
NFC South leading Saints.
are the Saints really winning the division?
We're tied. Yeah.
That's fucking terrible.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad. We're
That's-
tied. We're tied with the Falcons for first place. We
How'd you get past Tampa Bay? Wow.
Yeah, dude.
We're gonna
That's
beat-
a real juggernaut.
We're going to beat,
Shit.
next week we're going to Soldier Field. We're going to beat Chicago, and the Steelers are going to beat the Falcons.
Gotta watch out though. Carolina's creeping up.
And then the Falcons are coming to our house. I mean, yeah, it's
do
all
you,
planned.
do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me. This,
Patriots aren't playing the Saints. You realize we're in different division. You realize this, Gypsy, right?
this reminds me of like 3 years ago when the Saints played the 7-9 Seahawks, and they were like
2011.
and they were like 20-point dogs.
We
And I
were
bet
11.
you-
We were an 11-win
Yeah.
wild card team.
And I bet the dog on that one against you. And that day ended with me getting a $20 bill and you throwing a shot glass at the wall. That was a good day.
No, that wasn't that year.
Yeah, it
that
was.
wasn't that year.
That absolutely happened.
No, because I was here watching that
Yeah, you're
Seattle.
goddamn right. You threw a. Trust me, you had a little temper tantrum back
Did
then.
I? I don't remember. I
I
might have
don't
had a
know.
few drinks.
But the Saints might. The Saints might win.
I do
and
not recall.
The Saints might win, and I think the A's are going to be okay because they still have crazy pitching. When you're pitching Scott Kazmir, Sonny Gray, Jared Parker, AJ Griffin, and
I have a question for
the
you.
other guy.
Why does nobody want Jeff Samardzija? Why does he keep
Who
getting
doesn't want-
Why does he keep getting passed around like a $2 whore? Like he's one of the best pitchers in baseball, and the Cubs obviously didn't want him. Now the A's are like, oh, he's trade bait. They send him to Chicago. Like what? I'm confused as to why nobody wants Jeff Samardzija. I would love to have him as a Dodger. That would be insane.
I
Maybe
think there's
he's a
3
creep.
reasons. Number 1, Addison Russell is a superstar shortstop. And number 2, Billy Bean needed to revamp his farm system.
Right.
And when Billy Bean needs to revamp his farm system, nothing else matters. Hey, wrap it. Gotta pee.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, until we stop talking, there's still $4 shots of Sino tequila at the bar, Gypsy.
Buy me a shot, Nate.
$4 shots of Sino tequila. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Everybody who listens to this, don't
Nate,
listen
I'm
to
very
anything
mad at
that.
you.
What?
I'm so mad at you right now.
What are you talking about?
I'm so mad at you because the fact that you can't recognize the Patriots as
We're not going to talk about the Patriots.
I don't
Patriots.
sound like that.
Patriots.
At least I can say who is that?
Patriots?
You know? Not who
Patriots?
that. Like,
Patriots.
Is that a Bonix? I don't even know what that is.
I love Uggs. Patriots. We're Superior Fandom, Nate and Joe show. We do this, we used to do it every week. We do it as often as we can at this point. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Late.